Number 7, new business. Staff resignations at Warner Gelany, state custodian at EDS. Appointments, Amanda Young, Ed Tech 1, Special Ed at Coleman Regional Middle School. Amanda Cross, Ed Tech 3, Special Ed at Coleman Regional Middle School. For E, transfer at AJ wants to go from a cook back to a dishwasher. And F, I discussed this a little bit last year, but the building committee's got some interviews tomorrow with 4 companies, and we'd like them to be able to continue to make the decisions. I'd like to have the board, if they're willing to, give permission to that committee to select and move forward with that process and pick somebody to do the work at the boiler room instead of having it come before the board.
We shall see.
Okay.
Moving on. Approval of minutes of the September 10th meeting.
Second.
Is there a motion and second on the floor? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. Public comment. If there is anybody in the audience that would like to speak on a subject, we would be happy to entertain them. I see all employees, so I guess not. Moving on. Administrative communication. And we do not have.
We have the reports
Yes,
from
we
the administrators.
Superintendent?
I'll probably just speak throughout the meeting. I can say that school still seems to have a good vibe, running smoothly. You know, some of the shines were off in a couple areas, but we're holding things together as far as buses and bus drivers. We do need some substitutes. If anybody's out there who needs something to do, we need substitutes in all schools. 99% of our teachers are hired. We still need a couple more special ed teachers, but other than that, we're holding things together. You guys?
No, school year's been going great, and classes have been, progress reports close Friday, so we'll get those, but no, everything seems to be going smoothly.
Wonderful. Reports? Superintendent?
Like I said, mine, I'll be mostly through the agenda.
Very good. Quick comment, if you cannot make a meeting, please let either Mike or I know, because it came close today, and it would be sad to have everybody show up and not have enough for an official meeting. So please remember to either email or call the superintendent's office, and we will make sure that you are excused. Moving on to reports of special committee. Budget.
We didn't have a meeting last month, but we will have a meeting next Tuesday, the 15th.
Very good. Building.
We'll be meeting tomorrow. Interviews are at 5, if I remember right, and then the regular meeting's at 6:30.
Yeah, the interviews will probably go into the meeting, but that'll be our only order of business, and we'll discuss the 4 interviews that we have with the 4 companies that four qualified. Remember, this is people that we wanted to have qualified for this process, and they all, I looked through their materials, they're all pretty good, but you'll be hearing from them yourselves to see what they can bring to the project, and then we'll take the process after that.
And obviously, board members who are interested in the interviews are welcome to come, whether you're on the building committee or not.
Yep.
Any questions for building?
As at this point, when can we get permissions? We need to come, make a decision and come back to the board for future approval, or can we do that?
It
That's-
depends on.
It's on the agenda.
That was the
Perfect.
addition to the, yeah.
Perfect.
Any other? Very good. Moving on to education.
Yeah, I'll report on that, and that you have a written report in your packet, but basically, the committee dug into the student improvement grant for the middle school being on tier 3, and we've got that kind of check. The reason we're on that, again, is it checks a lot of boxes. The economically disadvantaged, the special ed students, attendance, and also low proficiency in English language arts and math. And then So what that's what causes this to get into us into this process. And then when you're in that process, you put a big team together like the middle school has done. They look through the needs assessment on what areas specifically that they can bring this up. We get the coaching support from that woman named Mary Giard. You also get $75,000 in year one to help support your professional development. And that's what we asked your support with for this Thursday for the middle school to do professional development. We also have some support from Gene Hagar, another grade schools partnership, who will help us dig into the data. Both the math team and the ELA team have already dug into the data and looked at target areas and where students need to improve. And then during their MTSS period, they're trying to take a look at those targeted areas. We're doing everything we possibly can for attendance, and realize that the things that we're thinking about at the middle school, our other schools are in tier 1, and they're focusing on the same things. They're looking at their needs assessment, they're taking a look at their data through NWEA and classroom performance and phonics and Fennell and those types of things. So it's not just the middle school that needs to be reflective, it's all the way through. It's a 3-year process. You'll hear more reports out about it. You'll hear the progress that we're making. I have heard that, so this data is back 2 or 3 years. Our data for the middle school was better, so they're already trying to, but you can't get out just because you have good data on 1 year. You can't just roll out of the process. So I think that's most of what we reported out on, Lori. Anybody at the committee have any other questions? Dave's admitted, and I will say the same thing. It's almost weird. I've been more connected to the middle school as well as them all looking at this as a positive. It's taking a look at the data, it's taking a look at our instruction, the models of instruction, maybe the actual materials that we use. We've used our literacy grant to get a lot of literacy books in there, but they're connected to the content, like they'll have social studies, they'll have science and those types of things, so you're integrating that language and everything as you go through. So it's not, we're not looking at this, and we don't look at this as a negative, it's a positive for the teachers to get focused on it. And again, if you think about it, we've never taken the same assessment. You've heard it named through the year, you've heard the MEA, and there was something else that it was called a couple of years ago. It's really hard if the assessment continues to change, and what our students have been through the last 3 or 4 years to really see where we stand. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't continue to look at the data. So
We also talked about possibly looking at truancy in a policy, what we have for policy and what we can do to develop that.
absolutely, attendance is a huge piece of this, and like I said to the committee, if we have a student that we know that the parent is kind of at a loss too because they drive off to work and the kid doesn't get on the bus, we'll send a van there to pick up that student. You can be chronically absent very quickly. It's 10 days. And if you miss 10 days, multiple years, and then 10 days is kind of the trigger number 1. That doesn't mean they just missed 10 days. So the attendance is crucial. And we're also trying to get attendance every period at the middle school, kind of like we do at the high school, to see if kids that showed up didn't get marked down. So there's a couple things that you can do that catches some kids quickly, but it's really just making it very difficult for the kids and the parents to stay home. They need to be in school. We're having, at the high school, we have an extra, if we have an extra person, they're calling home. We also have the same thing at the middle school. We're also trying to get a robo-text at the middle school so that if you're not in school, you'll get a phone call just like you will at the high school. So it's really all hands on deck for attendance, because if kids aren't here, clearly they're not going to learn. And I think there just needs to be a little bit of discomfort with parents getting them here as well.
Also, the next education committee meeting is November 5th, which is the election day.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but we will be sending out an email.
Jen and I will take that into consideration.
Very good. Any questions for education? Moving on to policy.
Policy committee met and we looked at two policies, public participation at board meetings and admission of non-immigrant foreign students. And I believe you can read that as foreign exchange students. And if you look at the policies, you'll see the changes that we considered highlighted in yellow. And I would make a motion that we accept for first reading the changes that are highlighted in yellow to these two policies.
Do I hear a second?
Second. And I'm doing them both at once just for expediency, and I would just point out it seemed like a rather minor change to the foreign exchange student was just adding on page 3 of that policy a superintendent's agreement. And I think the idea being a student with a family who had a superintendent's agreement.
Any discussion on the motion?
Yes.
What was the purpose of removing the note about executive session?
Because with executive session, I believe there is no public participation.
Exactly, so wouldn't it be advisable to leave that section in this particular policy, reminding people that there are conditions when they won't be allowed?
What page you on?
The first page.
You struck out the whole paragraph.
EDH.
Oh, regular.
Yes, the whole.
I mean, I agree it should be reworded, but
We just did this a couple of years ago.
I don't think we should completely reword it. And the other one was, I noticed that it added a section about not allowing people to make complimentary comments about staff members, but praise in public.
Right,
The principal leadership component.
but we need to make sure that things are kept generically instead of, even if it's a praise.
Why?
Because the first thing they're gonna say is that you let those people beat that person down for 3 minutes at a time, and then, but it's okay if I say something that's positive. You're gonna, I'm playing the devil's advocate. I know what you're saying, we should be able to praise it.
The issue would be that you're not letting those people say things negatively, but when somebody wants to speak up and support somebody, then you do let that happen.
As long as it's generic.
They're gonna say that that's not, I'm just saying, I think, so the changes that were made, Chris, for this policy were, after we reviewed it, it came back out in like October from MSMA, and they removed that policy from that piece.
And we had an individual who made comments about this policy, so we decided that we needed to look it over to see, what the issue might be or might not. Jessica?
So it was my understanding that when we went through this a couple of years ago, we decided to not put a time limit on public comment at the beginning of a meeting. And I really wish that we would stick to that. I mean, not exceed 15 minutes. If you have 20 people there that have pressing situations, they're not giving them the allotted time to speak. I can understand a 3-minute time frame for each individual, but we should not put an open blanket of 15 minutes on this, because then you're not allowing those people that took their time to come and speak at a meeting to speak at the meeting. And this is their time to do that. So I would like that changed in this policy.
The last sentence there, I'm not trying to, I'm saying the time limits in this paragraph may be modified at a particular meeting at the discretion of the board. So you may, if you have 20 people signed up, you may be able to, she may be able to extend it as long as the same people don't stand there and say the same thing over and over and over again of those 20 people.
I understand that, but I truly believe that if they have something to say, they're going to feel better once it's getting out there. So, I mean, I think we experienced that during the COVID meeting, that there was people that got up to say what they had to say, and they were upset that they didn't get the time that they felt that they should have been given. And I don't think we should have a time limit. I don't think it should be in there at all.
So this motion is to just accept it from committee.
Committee for the first reading.
And then the next board meeting, we will address it as the second reading, and that's when all our changes will happen.
But these are the recommendations that are going
Right.
to the next
We,
meeting.
we are listening.
And I'm with Jess, I said this before, I'll say it again. I don't want to be here any longer than we have to, but I also feel like if people show up, we shouldn't be limiting their time. And I see that we do say that at the end of the paragraph, but I think the 3 minutes is sufficient to limit.
I haven't trained it right away, but that's right. Mark?
Well, I'm just gonna reiterate what Robin said, which is, as I understand the process, after it's accepted for first reading and before it's accepted for second reading, then amendments to it would be considered. And so I think that, I share some of these same concerns, and I think talking it out even a little bit more now would help us with the next meeting. I can come back, or sending an email to with some ideas after that.
So if there's no,
I would rather it not even go to the second, and I would rather those changes be put in, so everyone, when they're at the board meeting, because we're very understaffed tonight, could have the opportunity to review it in whole before it went to second.
That's what would happen.
No, but if it's approved for first read, it goes to second, I think those changes should be made to bring it to first read.
that is not what our policy is.
I'm aware of that, but I'm just making my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Any other comments, questions, discussion? If not, we will bring it to a vote. All those in favor of this two policies being for first reading? Those opposed? Would you like to take the poll?
Well, we're opposing it because those things aren't written down as suggestions. Sure. Joe, you want to do when you're ready, we'll do a roll call.
All right, all those,
Well, let's go
All
roll
right,
call,
roll call.
because Joe's going to go down through the thing. You know what you're doing.
you ready, Joe?
Yeah, well, you want me to just call it names?
You have it on your thing, so just ask, yeah, so it's easiest for you to tap
Sure.
it.
Susan?
No.
Ray?
Ray?
Right. Yes, no.
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Chris?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
Jessica?
No. Oh,
Oh,
which one?
Jessica Hoffman.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's, Robin?
Yes.
Veronica?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Jessica Trudel?
No.
No. All right, is that did I get everybody? All right, so that was, I had 7 yes, 4 no's, so.
So it passes. So it will be on for first reading and headed towards second reading.
If you have specific language, will you shoot it to Mark?
Sure.
Like,
Absolutely.
and then that's very helpful when we get to the committee. Chris, anything?
What's that?
Anybody who voted no, if you'd send something that you wanted to make sure that we focus on when we're talking at it at the meeting, that will help it come back to this table. We're much more refined in the way that you want it, because we could have the same conversation and think about what was said, but we may not change it if we don't have something.
I'm just surprised that it's even back to strike that out, because we just went through that. And now it's back to take it out again and to change it. So I'm not sure what the thought process was behind that, but it was just done a couple of years ago.
But when this gets approved or not, it can look exactly how we want it.
Well, we changed it, that's my point. We changed it a couple years ago, and that's what the board voted
Yeah, we
on, which
got
should
rid
have
of
been exactly how we wanted it, and now it's brought back to change that again for a second time.
And we can,
Chris?
Make a motion to approve JFABB, admission of non-immigrant foreign students for first reading.
I did them both at once.
He did.
I know, and we must vote on that.
No, we approved it. It passed.
7-4.
But you're on the right track.
And I believe the next policy meeting is November 26th.
That very well could be.
How about? And you wait a minute, and we'll
Fourth
have October.
Tuesday,
October is October 29th.
That's transportation.
it's
Okay.
fourth Tuesday, whatever.
Fourth Tuesday.
The 22nd. Now that I've got everybody confused, policy will be October 22nd. Moving on to transportation.
We will meet October 29th. If
Okay.
anybody has any specific questions for transportation prior to me putting together the agenda, please let me know. It's been a little while.
Excellent. Negotiations.
No.
No. Moving on to Tri-County.
There wasn't enough to have a meeting, wasn't on the attendance.
Okay. Extracurricular, not yet, but soon.
Yeah, just to back up just 2 seconds on the Tri-County. You did see there is some
He
enrollment.
said something, yes.
Yeah, so this enrollment, sometimes this is a question, a lot of people say, how many are in each program? And it is broken down by school. And then on the backside, it's worth noting that the director up there put together a $1.4 million budget for Tri-County because it doesn't happen very often, but the legislature put up, I won't say X number of millions of dollars for all of the centers to apply for things that they need. And Brian did a great job putting together this budget for all these materials, and I believe we got this grant. So
It was a wish list.
we got what we wanted. So it's, there's a new car for the cruiser for the
Please.
criminal justice. There's some things for a lot of stuff for the welding program. Heavy duty pickup for also for the building trades group. Engine hoist. A lot of stuff for the natural resource program, and all programs are represented. But we put that together in a short amount of time and received that grant from the state. And tonight, even though we didn't have a quorum there, we are sending you the cooperative agreement. It doesn't change, but it's been in your packet for you guys to read the last couple of days, so we would like to put that back and that's for business, new business.
No old business, so new business. The cooperative agreement for Tri-County.
Yeah, so this just kind of scopes out the work that's done up there and how things are decided and those types of things. This has not changed. All the sending schools agree to the same cooperative agreement, and if there's any questions that you've read through, I'll do my best to answer them. Talks about the membership, decision-making articles, amendments, cost sharing formula.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the cooperative agreement for Tri-County Technical Center.
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on that motion? Any questions? If not, all those in favor? Those opposed? Fantastic.
Yeah. next thing would be that amendment to the adjustment of the agenda to allow, as Jessica was asking about, for the building committee to have the deciding authority to pick a contractor and go forward with picking, even going as far as to look at the bids that come in and make that decision so that we can move that forward through a little bit of a smaller committee who's intimately involved, has seen the boiler room, has heard all the reports, and move forward with that process.
I so move that we give permission to the building committee to make that decision on, during their interviews, after their interviews during their meeting, and then present it back to the board with the best of intentions for the board.
Do I hear a second? Motion and second on the floor for the board to give permission to the building committee to interview and hire.
That
A
was-
contractor.
Yeah, apologies.
Clarification.
When would
Because you
work
did
be
say
done?
active.
Next summer.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. Moving along to staff resignation.
Yes, we had Leo Reed, re-retirement at 6th grade in LA. Jasmine McLean, dishwasher stopper at Kingston Middle School. Bob Rowe, bus driver, hiring. Lorna Poulet, Jelani, state custodian EDS.
That does not require any actions. Staff nominations do, but there's no one there. Staff appointments?
Raven Berube at Tech 1, special ed summer staff. Michael Burgess, night custodian at Comas Regional High School. Charles Little, night custodian at Comas Regional High Middle School. Amanda Young, Ed Tech 1, special ed at Comas Regional Middle School. And Amanda Cross, Ed Tech 3, special ed at Comas Regional Middle School. And AJ back from cook to dishwasher.
That's transfer, so none of those require action. Any future agenda items?
Yeah. Not really future agenda, but my wife has applied as a substitute to the district in the interest of disclosure, of course.
Very good.
Would you like that as us to, sometimes we vote on that, like, we've had people have our, yeah, we have, like Jenny's dad's, bus driver, his father was a van driver. We usually kind of put those out there just so people, I think there's a coach.
Mel Nelson.
Mel's coach, just to put that out there. Do you want that as a next term, Chris?
I mean,
Or just me?
that's at the pleasure of the chair.
We'll put that on the next agenda.
Affects her pay or?
Right. We should be all set. Anything else? Hearing none. Good night.
Mr. Guzzi, look at your Mark Hansen tonight, honey. Oh, did you grab the remote? I was like, wait, what? I don't know what's in my glass. Must have been a long day.
Very nice.
Did you see me try to find the flag?
I laugh because it's something I would do. I was like, well, yeah.
You know, we made it.
You did.
We need a dog.
Yeah, I know, my mom is gonna do it.
I was like, St. Albans.
You ready for this?
I was like, God, you moved and I didn't even know it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's Thursday. Maddie. How's it going, Nurse Maxie? Could be worse. It could be worse.
Yeah.
But I've got the title on right now.
Yeah. Huh. But yeah. But yeah, no, but yeah, because it's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
You are,
almost put on this one for us.
oh, Chrissy.
So it's gonna run, it's still gonna be, probably a year beyond. Totally clean up, my guess. Especially because the last program and the year
Have any
twenty.
friends?
Honest to goodness, yeah, he's like, I can't, I don't know what's going on, I can't get into
So, just to be back first. My daughter's 6 years old, she's here at the elementary school, coming home, telling us all about her teachers, what
Right.
for that.
Yeah. If my husband didn't travel, I would suggest
Reassurances.
that he's out of state,
Actually happened.
actually like Tuesday through Thursday, so,
Not
but he would never be able to.
conversation in the school.
So,
Just seems
yeah.
weird.
I was just curious about that.
Talking about
Okay.
what teachers do, what. Still, it's concerning.
Yeah.
Make sure
Yep,
that.
I will see,
Yeah,
because
so
it's
she's
just one
educated
seat
about
voting right now, right?
voting
Yeah,
and
I'll see.
politics and stuff.
Remember in high school, we had all kinds of conversations.
I will.
Yeah, absolutely, I had mock votes and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Our teachers weren't open about who they were voting for, or what they should vote for.
Right.
Voting against.
Since it's come out from half, I don't know.